Mendelian genetics. This topic explains how traits are passed from parents to offspring and why family members can look similar, but still be different. The main idea is, you inherit genes from both biological parents, and different combinations of alleles create different traits. First concept, Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel is known as the father of genetics. He was a monk and scientist who studied pea plants in the 1800s. He performed experiments by crossing pea plants with different traits like purple flowers versus white flowers, tall plants versus short plants. Mendel discovered that traits are inherited through units we now call genes. He also discovered that some traits are dominant while others are recessive. Mini summary. Mendel used pea plants to discover how traits are inherited and created the foundation of genetics. Q&A. Who was Gregor Mendel, a monk and scientist known as the father of genetics? What did Mendel study inheritance of traits in pea plants? Why are Mendel's experiments important? They formed the foundation of genetics. What did Mendel discover about traits? Some traits are dominant and some are recessive. Next concept, generations in genetics. The parental generation is called the P generation. The first offspring generation is called the F1 generation. The second offspring generation is called the F2 generation. Mendel observed how traits appeared and disappeared between generations. Mini summary. Genetic studies often track traits through parental, F1, and F2 generations. Q&A. What is the parental generation? The original parents in a genetic cross. What is the F1 generation? The first offspring generation. What is the F2 generation? The offspring produced from the F1 generation. Next concept, alleles. An allele is a version of a gene. For example, Freckles' gene may have a dominant allele, F. No freckles may have a recessive allele. You inherit one allele from each parent. Mini summary. Alleles are different forms of the same gene inherited from parents. Q&A. What is an allele? A version of a gene. How many alleles do humans inherit for each gene? 2, 1 from each parent. Next concept, dominant and recessive traits. A dominant allele masks a recessive allele. A recessive trait only appears if both alleles are recessive. Example, F equal to freckles dominant, F equal to no freckles recessive. Possible genotypes, FF equal to freckles, FF equal to freckles, FF equal to no freckles. This shows that one dominant allele is enough to show the trait. Mini summary. Dominant alleles are expressed when present, while recessive traits require 2 recessive alleles. Q&A. What is a dominant allele? An allele that masks another allele. What is a recessive allele? An allele only expressed if both alleles are recessive. If freckles are dominant and someone has genotype FF, what is their phenotype? Freckles. What genotype would show the recessive trait FF? Next concept, genotype versus phenotype. Genotype means the allele combination. Phenotype means the observable trait. Example, genotype equal to FF, phenotype equal to freckles. Mini summary. Genotype refers to genes. Phenotype refers to physical traits. Q&A. What is genotype? The genetic makeup or allele combination. What is phenotype? The observable trait. Can 2 people have the same phenotype but different genotypes? Yes, FF and FF both show freckles. Next concept, homozygous and heterozygous. Homozygous means both alleles are the same. Examples, FF, FF. Heterozygous means alleles are different. Example, FF. Mini summary. Homozygous means same alleles, heterozygous means different alleles. Q&A. What does homozygous mean? Having 2 identical alleles. What does heterozygous mean? Having 2 different alleles. Is FF homozygous or heterozygous heterozygous? Is FF homozygous or heterozygous homozygous? Next concept, Punnett squares. Punnett squares help predict the probability of offspring genotypes and phenotypes. Example, FF times FF. Possible offspring, FF. Genotype ratio 1FF, 2FF. 1FF. Phenotype ratio, 3 freckles, 1 no freckles. Punnett squares show probability, not guaranteed outcomes. Mini summary. Punnett squares predict the chances of inherited traits. Q&A. What is a Punnett square? A tool used to predict inheritance probabilities. Can Punnett squares predict exact offspring? No, only probabilities. What is the phenotype ratio in FF times FF3 dominant? 1 recessive. Next concept, diploid and haploid cells. Diploid cells contain 2 sets of chromosomes. These are somatic cells, meaning body cells. Humans are diploid with 46 chromosomes. Haploid cells contain 1 set of chromosomes. These are gametes or sex cells. Sperm egg. Humans' gametes contain 23 chromosomes. When fertilization occurs, 23 plus 23 equal to 46. Mini summary. Somatic cells are diploid with 2 chromosome sets, while gametes are haploid with 1 set. Q&A. What does diploid mean having 2 sets of chromosomes? What cells are diploid, somatic, or body cells? What does haploid mean having 1 set of chromosomes? What cells are haploid, gametes, or sex cells? How many chromosomes are in human somatic cells? 46. How many chromosomes are in human gametes? 23. Next concept, carriers. A carrier has 1 recessive allele but does not show the trait. Example, FF if F causes a recessive disorder. The carrier can still pass the recessive allele to offspring. Mini summary. Carriers do not show recessive traits but can pass them to children. Q&A. What is a carrier? Someone with 1 recessive allele who does not show the trait. Can carriers pass recessive alleles to offspring? Yes. Do carriers show the recessive phenotype? Usually no. Next concept, linked genes. Genes on the same chromosome tend to be inherited together because they are physically connected. This is called gene linkage. Mini summary. Genes close together on the same chromosome are often inherited together. Q&A. What are linked genes? Genes located on the same chromosome. Why are linked genes often inherited together? Because they are physically connected on the chromosome. Next concept, biological sex and gender. Biological sex is usually determined by chromosomes. XX equal to female, XY equal to male. The sperm determines biological sex because sperm can contribute either X or Y. Gender is different from biological sex. Gender relates to identity, roles, and social or cultural experiences. Mini summary. Biological sex is determined genetically, while gender relates to identity and society. Q&A. What determines biological sex in humans? Sex chromosomes. What chromosomes are usually female XX? What chromosomes are usually male XY? Which parent determines biological sex? The father, because sperm contributes X or Y. Is gender the same as biological sex? No. Final concept, genetics and environment. Most traits are influenced by both genes and environment. Examples mostly genetic. Blood type, eye color. Examples influenced by genes and environment. Height, weight, skin color, intelligence. Environmental factors include nutrition, exercise, sun exposure, education. Mini summary. Most traits result from interactions between genes and the environment. Q&A. Are most traits controlled only by genes? No. Most involve genes and environment. What are examples of mostly genetic traits, blood type, and eye color? What are examples of traits influenced by genes and environment, height, weight, and skin color? How can the environment affect traits? Through factors like diet, exercise, and sunlight. Final summary of the entire topic. Mendel discovered the basic rules of inheritance using pea plants. Traits are controlled by alleles inherited from parents. Dominant alleles mask recessive alleles. Genotype refers to genes. Phenotype refers to traits. Punnett squares predict inheritance probabilities. Body cells are diploid. Sex cells are haploid. Carriers can pass recessive alleles without showing the trait. Most traits are influenced by both genetics and the environment.